everyone, this is Char, and I wanted to share a design team project with you that I made for Wild Orchid Crafts. This is a fall banner, and I used a couple of different techniques on it, and I really loved the way it came out. So I decided I would share it with you. So basically what I did is I cut the shape of the maple leaves out of my silhouette. And then what I did is I took some burlap, and my burlap was just plain white. It looked like this. And so it would look like this. And this is all I have left. But what I did is I took and I used my distress inks, and because I wanted it to look like a real leaf, and real leaves that are falling from trees are usually like yellow and green and red and brown and orange. They have these beautiful colors on them. So that's what I was trying to simulate here with the leaves on the background. So what I used for on the burlap is I used spiced marmalade. I used frayed burlap. I used peeled paint. I used squeezed lemon. And I used festive berries. And then I also used, I kind of like went over the whole thing to kind of tone down some of the colors. I used gathered twigs. Once I got all of it spread around, and basically what I did is I didn't use my tool, but I did use the sponge, and I just rubbed it in the ink and then rubbed it, with my hand on the burlap. And then once I did all of that, then what I did is I took some water and got the burlap wet so that it would kind of like meld the colors together. And I just absolutely love the way it came out, because you can see oranges and some reds and some of the browns. So it really came out really pretty, I think. So after I did that, then I took my cutout and I used my glue and seal, which is by Ranger. I used the matte one, and I glued all of the cutouts to the burlap. Once I did that, and I cut out by hand, I let it dry overnight, and then I cut out by hand all of the burlap matching the little cutout here for the silhouette. I'll show you the way it looks. Well, this is what I was going to do, but it was really too big. So I decided that I wouldn't use this one, and I cut it out again. But this is basically what it looked like. So after I finished that, then I cut another. I had to cut two so that I would be able to use two pieces of cardstock. Let's talk about what I did. So of course I used as a link to each one of these to hang. I used the seam binding that I got from Wild Orchid Crafts. It's vintage seam binding, and it's in mahogany. It's MKX480. And it's just a really pretty brown. I really like that. I used the paper that I use, and another thing is I don't have any true fall paper. So the paper that I used came from an old K and Company pad. I think it was Tim Coffee, and it was like a botanicals or something, but it had like fall colored on the opposite side of the paper. So I thought, you know what, those would make pretty rosettes. So I made my rosettes out of that. This was just some cream colored cardstock that I used, and I just cut that out using my silhouette. This I cut out and scored with my Martha Stewart scoreboard, and then cut out the border with my Martha Stewart punches. So there's that. And then my Wild Orchid products, I used the Carnations, I used some roses, and I used chrysanthemums, and some of these, I think they're daisies, I'm not sure. I'll pull them out here in just a second. So let me just show you real quick what I used. I used 25 golden yellow open roses, 25 millimeters MKX307. So I used those. I used the leaves. I used the 100 mixed leaves, MKX 435, and mostly the leaves I used three. I used this one, this maple, and I used this one, but it was in the brown tones. I think it's like a fern leaf. So I used those. I used these, let me get the little code out here. 100 mixed two-tone roses, 15 millimeter MKX 292. There's the paper on that. And I used these, and I used all these little orange and yellow ones right here. They're so pretty. So I used that. And I will put a listing of all the products that I used down in the remarks. I used 50 mixed earth tone open roses, MKX 170. And I used all of these like cream colored ones right here. And then I used these Carnations, MKX 105. I used the yellow Carnations there. And then this is the one that I used here. Let's see what these are. Cosmos, maybe? Daisies. I was right. Brown and white Cosmos Daisies, 1KX 125. And I used brown ones, and I think I used some cream ones, and I used these three colors here. No, maybe I used them. I guess I used all of the colors. So I used a little bit of everything on that one. And then for my stash, I used this one right here. This is a off-white chrysanthemum, MKX 117. And I used this. These were from my own personal stash, but they are Wild Orchid Craft flowers as well. Okay, so then what I did is I used this little floral pick that I found at Michael's. They were all 50% off, so it was $1.99. I got it for $1, but it had all of these little balls, and it had some pumpkins, like this pumpkin right here, and it had some pine cones on it. So it was really for $1. It was a good buy, I thought. So I guess that's all I used on the project, but let me just go through each letter. The letters I also cut up with my silhouette, cut those out, and I cut out 3 letters and then glued them all together so that it gives them a little bit of sturdiness, and so they would hold up well. So I used, there's one of those leaves right there, and there's all the flowers, some more leaves, and then this little cute little pumpkin. I just think he's so cute. And then here's the A. And on my letters, I don't know if you can tell, but I did run along the edges the Wink Stella pen just to give it a little bit of glittery. There we go. Just to have it come out a little bit. So each one I did a little different, and then I tied it together here with all of my with the seam binding. Here's the L, another one of those cute little pumpkins. So I just did a little flower decorations on each one of them, but I really like the way it came out. I'm really pleased with it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw some, well, I'll put some pictures at the end so you can see a little bit more detail on them. So thanks everybody for watching. So I'm going to go hang this on my door. All right, take care. Bye-bye.